grateful and full of joy to welcome everybody here in the sanctuary, everybody joining us on Zoom, and everybody joining us online on Facebook, and joining us later on wherever you are. So welcome. And to this amazing, bright, sunshiny day. Thank you, Joe Rathburn. So we're going to start our service this morning with our song, and we'll get going with that. So I invite you to join us in singing It's in Every One of Us.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, you and I. It's in every one of us, we are free. Find yourself, open your eyes and see. We can all have anything without ever knowing how. It's in every one of us, here and now. In this very room, there's quite enough love for one like me. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for one like me. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For spirit, one spirit, is in this very room.
Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is mine to do? We also may question whether we are good enough, smart enough, courageous enough, or any of the other enoughs we ponder. The truth is, we are already enough. We are individualized expressions of the one love. We know this is true. All that is left for us to do is to make loving our personal self and others our goal. During the silent meditation, I invite you to affirm the following. My life is automatically filled with purpose and meaning when love is the goal. Such an extraordinary day. Such a beautiful day which God has made. It is one continuous day of joy, bliss, peacefulness, camaraderie, connection, heart to heart, hand to hand, mind to mind. Constantly a flow of energy, constantly and consistently moving through each and every body, through all life forms around the world and beyond. And so it is in this beautiful connection with life and with love and all the great gifts of the divine that I welcome this day unfolding perfectly, just as it is, for each and every one. I give thanks for the ability that we have to connect across the wireless, the internet, the Ethernet, that God substance on which we travel. And I give thanks for how the music fills our hearts and helps us rejoice what we are, pure joy, pure happiness, pure love. And I give thanks for the words of wisdom and absolute delight, the intricate and extraordinary expressions of truth given by Reverend Natasha. And so this day is blessed just as it is, perfect in every way, and any side roads or detours are meant to be invitations to a greater adventure. And so with this happy thought on this beautiful day that God has made, I call it good. And together we say, and so it is. And not only that, we have our wonderful musician, Mr. Joe Rathburn. Let's welcome him.
Hi, everybody. Like the man who walks the tightrope without a net below, like a paratrooper leads the plane and yells Geronimo, like the mate of every soldier awaits their safe return, the beliefs that any holy man has been inspired to learn, like the faith that moves a mountain or the dream to which you cling. With faith like that behind you, you can do anything. Like the prince in Sleeping Beauty, the princess and the frog, a mother and her newborn baby, a young boy and his dog, like a prisoner loves his freedom and a cheetah loves the chase, pessimists love being dreary, optimists the human race, a sailor loves a steady wind like a songbird loves to sing. love like that behind you, you can do anything. Anything you ever wanted, anything you'll ever need. The limitations live in your mind. Get rid of those and you will find you surely can do anything. Oh, what I'm saying might seem strange to you. The ravings of a loon, like I'm living in some fantasy world, some weird and whack cartoon. If you think that world can never be, just know that you are right. 'Cause when you keep your blinders on, it keeps that vision out of sight. But tomorrow is another day, and whatever it may bring, with a chance like that, I'm ready, not afraid of anything. Anything you ever wanted, anything you'll ever need. The limitations live in your mind. Get rid of those and you will find anything you ever wanted, anything you ever need. The limitations live in your mind. Get rid of those and you will find you surely can, you surely can, you surely can do anything. Anything. You surely can do anything.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Indeed. That is one of our fundamental teachings here. We can do anything, right? So welcome again to our Sunday, April 14th service. It is really hard sometimes when the sun is shining and it is so beautiful outside to be in here. So thank you everybody who came this morning to the sanctuary. I appreciate it. So this month we are talking about a theme called giant gentleness, which is a little bit of a weird phrase to me anyway. So when I was thinking about what this might mean and how to make sense of it and then how to talk with you all about it, I was thinking about this idea of what does gentleness mean, right? So we often think of gentleness as a kind of softness, right? It's a kind of soft way of being in the world. And actually I found a definition of gentleness that defined it as a strong hand with a soft touch, which I really liked because it was that blend of both strength and softness. So this month, part of what we are exploring is the role of gentleness in our lives, how it can be part of learning how to love ourselves in a more effective and holistic way, how it can be part of learning how to love others, and ultimately, as we will share, I think part of how we really learn to love God or the divine or however we envision and name it, but that's something greater than we are. So there are moments, I wonder if any of you have ever had them, when you have a kind of sense of your just connection and oneness with everybody. Has anybody ever had a moment like that? Yeah, a few of us have had that. And in that moment, there's this sort of sense of all-encompassing love, right? You're just just lifted up by it, enriched by it. And then other moments, we don't really feel that so easily, right? We're feeling kind of disconnected. We're feeling alone or lonely or separated. And in those moments, we can find connection through gentleness and compassion. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. The power of gentleness is that it really helps us to connect with who we are and who we want to be. And it allows us to create the space for moments in our lives, in fact, hopefully many, many moments, to feel sacred and holy as we connect with that infinite divine essence within us and within each other, and indeed within all of creation and the universe. So last week, Reverend Suzette started this journey with all of you, talking about this idea of loving ourselves and the role of gentleness and loving ourselves. And this week, we're going to talk about the role of love and gentleness in loving, each other, or what I'm going to call neighbor love. I learned recently that whales are among the species which, at least animal scientists believe, make friends, right? So animals live with each other and have companionship clearly and take care of each other. But in the way that we think about friendship and connection, whales are some of the other creatures that form friendship along the same way. And indeed, apparently, beluga whales do this with whales who are not related to them. So they form these connections with other whales, which I thought was really wonderful. So here are our sort of spirit animals for the day, beluga whales, who I have encountered as animals in the past with a great sense of humor. So I also relate to them from that standpoint. And then next week, we're going to talk, Reverend Jerry, Reverend Suzette's going to talk about the role of love and gentleness in community. And then finally, at the end of the month, Reverend Jerry is going to go over how we celebrate that collective love together. So that's just a little forecast. So people are really wonderful when they're kind, aren't they? When they're nice, when they're cooperative, when they do what we want them to do. Don't we love people then? It's wonderful. And then sometimes they're not so nice. Sometimes they're kind of fickle or opinionated or judgmental. Oh my gosh. And that's when everything kind of goes wrong, isn't it? What is the matter with them? I'm perfectly fine. They're the ones who are behaving in this perfectly irrational, crazy way, right? When things don't go right, it is our very natural human tendency to want to blame other people, right? Because our judgments kind of get in the way. So what is our opportunity in that moment? Well, if we can begin by applying some gentleness to ourselves, and then by applying some gentleness to our interactions with others, we may find that we're able to let them be themselves and ourselves be ourselves. And in that space, right, of love for ourselves and love for others, we can begin to really connect in a meaningful way. So Ernest Holmes, in our Declaration of Principle, says, we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit. And this is really that idea we often talk about in the metaphor of the ocean, right? As if the divine were an ocean, we would all be drops of the ocean. We are not the vastness of the divine, but we are, in our individual drops, all that the divine is, right? We are the energy of creation in all of its myriad forms. And that means each and every one of us is sacred and holy. And the other person, place, or thing is none other than the expression of love. Just as we are each the expression of love, so is everything else. And what that means, fundamentally and ultimately, is that no one and nothing is either for us or against us. It just is. Right? It just is. And we can take some comfort sometimes in not feeling like everything is against us. We are all here existing in that same very powerful reality. So what is our challenge in this? Well, Ernest Holmes frames it this way. None of us is as perfect in expression as we ought to be. Oh, darn. Darn. None of us is as perfect as we ought to be or that we can be, right? So the challenge to each of us is to be great enough to rise in love, in charity, through understanding and compassion. And I'm really sorry to break it to you, but this is that thing we run up against in spiritual teaching all the time. There's work. Oh man, I know you didn't come here this morning to hear about your work. So I'm sorry to disappoint you from that standpoint. But the good news about this work is that it is a pathway to greater joy. And so I think it is work that is profoundly and deeply worthwhile. And I want to invite you to really embrace that idea and see where it takes you. See where that adventure goes. As Sylvia said, those detours, those byways, they might take you somewhere even more wonderful. So I affirm that, and I want to invite you indeed to do the same thing. So because we affirm in our teaching, right, that our thinking really defines what we experience, right, which is why we use that phrase, change your thinking, change your life, right, because when we change our thinking, everything changes around us because we have changed our thought. And what that means is that our relationships in any given moment are a mirror of our ideas and our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about the world around us, our beliefs about others. Our beliefs manifest in our relationships. I really love this phrase that I came across. The only place from which you can interact with others looks just like you. Now, do you feel that way? I often feel like, well, no, that's not me. I'm not like that. And yet. So just to be clear, I'm not saying that anything you perceive as negative is your fault, right? Whatever people say or do is theirs. And the thing that we have power over is how we respond to that. But this is a bigger picture idea that what we start out with in our beliefs about who we are and who everybody else is tends to manifest itself in alignment with those beliefs. So if we're having an experience in a more general way or a more consistent way that we don't like very much, we have some options. We can start changing the way that we think. And part of that is to start, as Reverend Suzette talked about last week, is to think about yourself in a different way. I wonder how many people ever had an experience, whether it was in childhood or young adulthood, where they came to a kind of negative conclusion about themselves or their capabilities? Yeah, a lot of us have had that. And part of the challenge of that is that holding on to that idea, we keep recreating aspects or elements of that belief in our experience. So part of that loving yourself is loving that negative conclusion away, right? Simply allowing yourself to know that you are indeed love embodied, that experience, that conclusion, that belief does not define you, that you have the opportunity to release that and know a greater wholeness and a greater version of yourself. And side note advertisement, if you're having problems with that release, that's what our practitioners and ministers are here for. So please feel welcome to bring those kinds of struggles to us, because we want you to know your greater wholeness, your greater love ability. So don't bother beating yourself up for any previous negative relationship or mistake. The point is to start here and right now in thinking about yourself and those things in new ways. So the Dalai Lama shares with us, the more that we care for the happiness of others, the greater our own sense of well-being becomes. Cultivating a close, warm-hearted feeling for others automatically puts the mind at ease. This helps remove whatever fears or insecurities we may have and gives us the strength to cope with any obstacles we encounter. It is the ultimate source of success in life. That's a very powerful statement, isn't it? the ultimate source of success in life. So here in this statement, the Dalai Lama proclaims, right, and affirms the importance of compassion as a key element of living a life of happiness, right? So that, and we understand that compassion is a virtue, right? And he's defining compassion here as a close, warm-hearted feeling. Compassion is a virtue, but is not only a virtue, it is a means, it is a path. Sylvia talked about love as a goal. I'm also going to suggest we can think about love in this form of compassion as the tool, as the toolbox, as both the way and where you're going, right? So it has multiple dimensions. So when we apply compassion to ourselves, while we may not like what we did or said, we can really begin to comprehend that making mistakes is part of being human. And active compassion for others also helps us remember that they are human too, right? Whatever their challenges or shortcomings may be. And this doesn't mean that they get free rein to treat you however they might want to, but it also doesn't mean that you have to understand everything about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Every person everywhere has some kind of untold story, right? They've lived through traumas, they've had their own tragedies, and they've created a way to live and function based on that history, just as each and every one of us has done. Ernest Holmes says, compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the attempt to discover the divinity in each other. It is the most gentle of all human virtues. So we're back to that word of gentleness, and remember that's both strength and softness at the same time. So active compassion usually requires focus and intention, right? When your intention is to let the people in your life be themselves and to love them for who they are, then you are gentle with these reminders to yourself. So I came across a story recently that really moved me. And it was about a young man named Mark, who was walking home from school one day. And as he walked along, he saw that a boy ahead of him had dropped his backpack and all the books he was carrying and 2 sweaters and a baseball hat and a glove and a tape recorder. This is obviously an old story because who has a tape recorder now? But, you know, imagine whatever else it might be. And he knelt and helped the boy pick up all the things. And helped him as they walked along because he had so much stuff. And as they walked along, he discovered that the boy's name was Bill and that he loved video games and baseball and history, and he was really failing at all of his other subjects. And they arrived at Bill's home first, and Bill invited Mark to come in and have a Coke and watch some TV. And so they hung out for the afternoon, had some laughs, talked, and then Mark went home. And they continued to see each other around school, had lunch together once in a while, and both graduated eventually from junior high school. That's how old they were. Went on to high school. Again, would see each other from time to time. Finally, they were in their senior year, and one day Bill came to Mark and he asked if they could talk. And Bill reminded Mark of that day so many years before when Mark had helped him pick up all the stuff that he had. He said, "Did you ever wonder why I was carrying so many things that day?" And he said, "You see, I had cleaned out my locker because I didn't want to leave a mess for anyone. I had stored some of my mom's sleeping pills and I was going to commit suicide." And then Bill told Mark that he realized that after spending time with Mark that afternoon, just spending time with someone who was willing to just sit with him and hang out and talk with him and laugh, he said, "I would have missed that time with you and many other good times in my life that followed. What I'm trying to say is that you did a lot more when you picked up those books for me than just help me with that." He said, "You saved my life." And I think what I really that really resonated for me when I heard this story was how many times in my own life someone's kind word, someone's smile, someone's brief sharing had lifted me up when I couldn't see the good in myself, couldn't see the good in the situation around me, and how often and how easy it is for us to do that for others. And Mark didn't need to know all of Bill's story. He didn't need to know all the things that were hard. He didn't have to fix it. He didn't have to organize it. All that he had to do was be present and accept Bill as a human being. And that really does embody the idea to me of gentleness, right? Of strength and softness together. The willingness to be present and just be. Ernest Holmes says, "When we let the love that is within us go out to the God who is in all people, then we are loving God with all our heart and with all our soul and mind. Because we are recognizing that the spirit within us is the same spirit we meet in others. This is loving our neighbors as ourselves." Some of you may be familiar with the passage in Matthew in the Bible where it says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." Now this is slightly flipped, right? Ernest Holmes kind of started in the other direction. He said, when you love your neighbor, then you learn how to love God. And one thing that I wanted to share with you as I was going over I was kind of contemplating these passages was was a quote or a passage from a sermon by Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. that I came across at the beginning of my ministerial training. And part of what we're asked to do in our ministerial training for speaking with all of you is to learn passages of different things that are inspiring to us that we would like to share with other people. So Reverend King wrote a sermon called "The Three Dimensions of a Complete Life." And in it he stated this: "Go out this morning, love yourself, and that means rational and healthy self-interest. You are commanded to do that. That is the length of life. Then follow that. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. You are commanded to do that. That is the breadth of life. And there's a first and even greater commandment. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy strength. And that is the height of life. And when you got that, when you get all three of these together, you can walk and never get weary. You can look up and see the morning stars singing together and the sons of God shouting for joy. When you get all three of these working together in your very life, judgment will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream." I have carried that passage with me in my journey. It's something I have up by my desk at home and at my desk at the hospital. Because for me, it is the expression of sort of what it is that we are and why it is that we are here. We are made of love. We are expressions of love. It is our purpose to love. And when we love ourselves and each other, we love God. We love the allness that we already are. It's kind of the perfect circle. So I want to invite you to do a very brief compassion practice with me this morning. I want you to imagine in your mind a friend or acquaintance. I want you to hold that person in your mind and send them your love. Let the love pour from you and reach this person's life in every way. See this person swaddled in love, enfolded in love. Observe their body glowing with love. Know that this love supports them in every decision and action. Feel the love that shines forth from them. So now, I want to invite you later in the day or this evening or tomorrow, sometime this week, that's because we always talk about homework, right? I want to invite you to do this exercise with someone that you don't like very much, or someone who you find kind of difficult to interact with, right? And don't worry if it doesn't feel very comfortable, because that's totally natural, right? I just invite you to do it, to start where you are, as Buddhist nun Pema Chodron says. We just start where we are. And this week, if you have the time and the inclination, just each day, pick someone to do this with. Someone you love, someone you don't love, a stranger you see on the street, doesn't matter. And just see how you feel at the end of the week. So recognizing our oneness with each other gives us insight and awareness of our own judgments and how that's reflected in our relationships. Loving ourselves leads to loving others, and loving others is loving ourselves and loving God. Reaching for the outpouring of divine givingness, as Ernest Holmes phrased it, is a form of active compassion that allows our beloveds to be themselves. And it also gives us the space we need to find our own balance and perspective. So all relationships, ultimately, are sacred and holy. And this gentleness, this compassion in how we see people around us is part of what helps to support that sacred and holy awareness, to create that container. So let's continue to keep this gentleness practice going, to keep it growing, to keep it going, to spread it and share it through our own love all around the world. So I want to just invite you to join me. Another real life example of friendship in the animal world, right? Not just within species, but between them. Yeah. So I just want you to stand up and join me in affirming this statement. We're going to say it softly. We're going to say it with affirmation, and then we're going to proclaim it. All right? So, all of my relationships are love in form. All of my relationships are love in form. All of my relationships are love in form. Thank you. No. And now, another wonderful song from Joe Rathburn.
say this old world has got you down, nothing but trouble all around. All you do is wear a frown everywhere you go. You say you can't even watch the news, not a single thing there you can use. You just get a big old case of blues. Here's all the news you need to know. Give nothing but love today. Give love and throw the rest away. In everything you do and say, give nothing but love. Give love and make somebody smile. Give them strength to walk another mile, and you'll feel better all the while. Giving nothing but love. Yeah, the world's made of many parts, a lot of souls and a lot of hearts, but love is where the whole thing starts. I think you must agree. Your love's the language that we all can speak. It's the food that keeps us at our peak. So when a body starts to feeling weak, we need it fast and free. So give nothing but love today. Give love and throw the rest away. In everything you do and say, give nothing but love. And give love and make somebody smile. Give them strength to walk another mile, and you'll feel better all the while. Give nothing but love. When faced with divides, we tend to take sides. We're human, that's just understood. But love is the source, so rather than force, let's all get together like we should. We should. You know we should. Come on, what are we gonna do? Give nothing but love today. Give love and throw the rest away. In everything you do and say, give nothing but love. Give love and make somebody smile. Give them strength to walk another mile. You'll feel better all the while. Give nothing but love. Love, love, love. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Let's give Joe another hand, everybody.
I've already got two. Thank you.
Okay, well, we are now at our time of giving and receiving, and I want to invite everyone, if you have a prayer request, there should be an envelope and hopefully a pen with a card. Please feel welcome to write any requests and put them in the envelope, and our practitioners and ministers will pray over those this week. If you are making a gift or a tithe today, and it's, let me reframe that. Let's try that again. If you're going to put it in the envelope, please put your name on it. We just like to keep track so we can acknowledge you appropriately at the end of the year. And otherwise, there are also the other ways of giving, which are also noted on the card. You can do PayPal or Venmo or anything that works for you along those lines. So when you're ready, please put your hand over your heart with your gift. And in the meantime, I'm going to make a few quick announcements. Just a reminder, Tuesdays we have our spiritualist study group in the sanctuary. I'm not quite sure what time it is. It says 7 o'clock back there, but 6:30, is that? It's 7, okay. Okay, great, thank you. So it is indeed at 7. Wednesdays at 6:30, there's a parents group, a Real Hope Recovery. And Friday mornings, there is a Zoom spiritual book study group going. Coming up this week, Reverend Angela Geary and the Awaken Collective will have their program on Thursday, on the 18th. Next Sunday, There is an OM outing to the Amethyst Moon Store and lunch afterwards for everyone. I think that's here in La Mesa, the Amethyst. I have it as April 21st. Is that not? That's next Sunday. Yep. And then on Wednesday, the 24th, a clay flowers class at 1 p.m. And finally, at the end of the month, on April 28th, Reverend Jerry is going to be doing a workshop after service called Change is Good, You Start, Navigating the Inevitable. So all of that sounds like great things to come and do. And is there, thank you, and I left something out, but Emma is helping me remember, and that is that there is a new class coming up. Reverend Suzette will be teaching. It's a book study of the book Forgiveness by Reverend Michelle Wadley, and that is going to be starting on Monday evenings, starting tomorrow, actually. So Monday evenings from 6 to 7:30, and it's 12 weeks. And you can get some more information there, so you can sign up. There's a sign-up sheet in the back, or contact Reverend Suzette directly. So there is a fee for the class. It's $10 a class, and the book is a separate purchase. So with that, I simply invite you, as these Emma and Jackie walk forward, we'll simply recognize that presence of God right here and right now. And in that presence, we recognize that infinite circulation of abundance, that flow of giving and receiving, which is the divine flow of life, is the divine flow of creation. We simply give thanks for all of the ways in which that abundance is expressed in your life, and the ways in which you share it here with us at OM, through gifts, through fellowship, through your expressions of love. We are so grateful for all of these blessings, and we give thanks for all the ways in which these gifts allow us to continue this work of blessing ourselves, each other, and the world. And for all of this, I simply give thanks and say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are now going to do our OM affirmation together, and then we'll sing the peace song. Or sing the peace song together with the video.
With the video.
Right.
A
Okay.
cool thing, yeah.
So, I am an expression of God, born into the richness and abundance of the indwelling presence. Today I walk upon my world, consciously creating my oneness within and around me. And so it is.
So if you would like to rise. I'll be up here.
Okay.
And the words are gonna be up there. This is really cool. And this is something we came up with that will be really fun. All right, Martin, let's give it a shot. And if it gets going, here's the intro. Ready? That's good. Here we go. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let
right. Thanks so much for being here, and thank you all you folks online. I see Candace and Jody are here. I'm not sure who's the online practitioner today, but one of them is.
Oh, let's pick one.
Hi, Dee.
It's probably Jody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Candace. All right, I always forget, look there, but actually look there.
And I'm
Okay.
also available for prayer.
And for all those of you here in the sanctuary, Sylvia is available for prayer after service.